Hello. Hope you're doing good today. It's a great day to be a good day. I'm going to bring you some facts about the South Carolina Alliance of Lawless Incumbents. But before I do, I would like to make the statement that Mark Moore and Ben Garner, attorneys for Odom, have issued a statement that Mr. Odom, the mayor of McBee, is a constituent public servant who has devoted his time and office to making his community a better and safer place to live. And Mr. Moore wants to say that Mr. Odom flatly denies these charges, and he denies that he has committed any type of misconduct in office. And Mr. Odom looks forward to the clearing of his name through the judicial process. Okay.
Good day.
Today, McBee Mayor Glenn Odom turned himself in the Chester County Detention Center. He's the fourth town leader facing misconduct and conspiracy charges, alongside Police Chief Tim Knight, former Chief Mike Irvin, and Officer Greg Block.
3 counts of misconduct in office.
Investigators say officers with the McBee Police Department were pressured to meet ticket quotas to help generate money for the town. Months after the town applied for 2 federal loans totaling more than $178,000. Court documents include texts between the mayor and Chief Irvin in which Odom allegedly asked if 6 officers could write 12 tickets a month to help pay for a new patrol car and equipment.
You know, it probably still would be not so great for 6 officers to write 12 tickets a day in a community that has in between 700 and 800 people and is the area that covers 1.3 square miles. But the fact is, it was a lot more than 12 tickets per day. This report from Jody Barr says that in 2024, McBee wrote very, very close to 12,000 tickets. Yes, and the only other geographical location in South Carolina that came near was Columbia. Columbia wrote 13,400 something tickets. But Columbia is nearly 800 square miles. Now check those facts. I got it from AI. We know AI hallucinates and lies and all those things, but that seems fairly accurate. And I hope that some of those tickets in that 800 square mile area were not just weaponizing the law for profit, that some of those actually did, help the driving situation. Here's one more fact that the public needs to be aware of. I want you to look at this and remember this and help me talk about it. So, in a previous episode of mine, Jody Barr explained that McBee came up with a violation of careless operation, and it would require a $180 fine, nearly $181. But the reason that they focus on this citation is because they don't have to split the profit with the state. It's pure profit for McBee. And we just heard in the news report where they needed a loan. They needed a loan for $179,000. And so that's why they say that they are, they're just under pressure to get this money from these tickets, $1.2 million. And they came up with a situation so that they don't have to divide the $1.2 million. They get to keep the majority of the dollars. And I don't like, this is weaponizing the law again. Not only did they come up with a plan to generate revenue from people who are just trying to survive and live in their community where they grew up and probably family has lived there all their life. They're just trying to survive. So they came up with a way to weaponize the law which included impersonating an officer. I'm still big on this. I still want us, the community, to come up with a way that officers and their names have to be put on websites, because as easy as they made it look to impersonate another officer, how do you know that the officer you're talking to is even an officer? Apparently, it is not that hard to be someone else, especially in McBee. But this way of reverse engineering to generate revenue for a public service that is provided already from taxpayer funding, come on now, this ain't right. So let's talk about it. Let's be very informed and educated so that we can have a conversation, because this is not right. And it's like, misconduct in office. Well, really? You think that's it? Huh. I think it's a lot more than that. Another very newsworthy fact that I feel you need to know, you need to be educated on, and be able to speak very clearly to everyone to share this so that we can all communicate and find a better answer, some revolutions. But the fact is that Odom actually, well, SLED alleges that Odom attempted to influence the June 2024 Republican primary election. So what does that mean, right? Is that another thing like 6 officers writing 12 tickets, just something that's not really big? We'll just sweep it under the rug? Well, I don't know. What do you think? It says here that Odom in text, so there is evidence that he texted Officer Wright, and together they came up with a plan. He says he'll give him $100 gas money to quote unquote haul as many as you can. Then he said he'll give $100 bonus if more than 12 people voted. Well, how do you know that? I'm just asking, because, like, how do you know? How do you know 12 people voted, and how do you know who they voted for, so that you can pay a bonus to this guy? But the facts later revealed or alleged that Wright transported approximately 20 people to the polls, showed them a sample ballot identifying Odom's preferred candidates, and was paid $300 by the mayor. So this is not a good old boy functionality here. There's nothing wrong with people campaigning to a group of people openly, honestly, for all to see. But there is a big problem with election interference. Yeah. You can't do that. That really kind of violates the whole purpose of people voting if you're just going to pay everybody off. That's not what we do here in America. It's not what we wanted to do. It's not what we intended to do. So let's get together and do some talking so we can get back on track with what we the people decided we were going to do in America. And SLED also issued one more allegation. A separate affidavit accused Odom of improperly transferring and spending $35,000 of the McBee Police Department's narcotics savings. So officers seized suspected illegal drugs and $37,584 in cash from a vehicle after the driver claimed that the money was legitimate income from his business. So looks like he just, yeah, it just, Odom contacted the bank by telephone and personally directed the transfer of $35,000 from the McBee Police Department from their narcotics savings account into the town's general operating account. And then we hear Glenn. Glenn got in on this one somehow. So we're going to talk about Glenn tomorrow, but I'm going to bring up just a little something for us to think about towards the end. I sure do appreciate SLED checking into these things. They are alarming, very concerning. Yeah, it seems like SLED has spent a lot of time investigating McBee over several years. I hope that there will be some relief for this community. It seems like they've been extorted, for lack of a better term, for many years. It's really time for some relief. Look at this interesting little report I found. Apparently, as I noted previously, there are some interesting interpretations of the law that seem to benefit maybe one or two people, or just a little immediate group of affiliates that are pretty repeatedly the only ones to profit from the public funding. But let's see. Hold on, watch this.
After more than 2 years, a South Carolina mayor and council member are admitting they violated the state's Ethics Act. On their first day in office, the men voted to shut down McBee's water department and hand the town's water system over to a private water company they both profit from. Our chief investigative reporter, Jody Barr, investigated this relationship for 2 years.
These are the notice of hearings for Glenn Odom and James Linton. Count 1, failure to recuse from a governmental decision in which a business with which associated had economic interest.
Gregory Rogers filed the ethics complaint against McBee Mayor Glenn Odom and McBee Councilman James Linton more than 2 years ago. He admits he didn't think anything would happen.
So that letter from the Ethics Commission is confirmation that they opened an investigation at that point.
That's correct.
What did you think when you got that letter?
It was satisfying to see somebody's actually going to address some of the issues that's going on here in McBee over the years with Glenn Odom and Alligator Water and the conflict that it has for the town itself, using Alligator Water instead of using the town of McBee water. And again, when you switch over, that's supposed to be decided by the citizens of McBee, not one agent of Alligator Water.
In February 2023, as soon as Odom, Linton, and the new councilman, Robbie Lyles, took office, the town's water operator resigned.
I don't have any idea what's in it, and I'm not putting it in somebody's drinking water, not knowing that.
That same day,
This is your chlorine.
an Alligator water worker inspected the water treatment chemicals at the town's well houses.
Councilman Lyles, he's over the water system. I've also got Willie Watkins. He's field superintendent for Alligator. He's licensed in water treatment, water distribution, and he was involved in making a decision not to use these chemicals, and we'll explain to you why.
Odom told ethics investigators he called the South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control, the state's water utility regulator, about the town's chemicals, that they were unsafe to use. Odom told ethics DHEC agreed with him. The mayor used that to justify what he and the town would do next. The next day, the mayor called an emergency council meeting. Odom has since argued the town's water system posed a public health emergency. The mayor and Linton, who both earned money from Alligator Water through a management contract, participated in a closed-door meeting about shutting down the town's water system and who would run it.
When the private meeting ended, Odom, Linton, and the rest of council all voted to hand the town's water system over to Alligator Rural Water and Sewer.
It says the State Ethics Commission has received a complaint filed by you against Glen Odom. The complaint contains facts sufficient to warrant an investigation. That was for Glen Odom. We had the same thing with James Linton.
The State Ethics Commission not only found Odom and Linton should be investigated, the commission handed down 2 ethics charges against Mayor Odom and Vice Mayor Linton. The charges: they illegally participated in the discussion of and voted on a matter involving Alligator, where both have an economic interest. We interviewed the mayor about this in 2023 as part of our Unreal Deal investigation.
Odom and Associates cuts me a check for $10,000 a month.
And you're saying that $10,000 a month would not be defined as a financial benefit if you were to vote on an issue that benefited Alligator, thus benefiting Odom and Associates?
It does not change. It doesn't go up or it does not go down, especially when it's a loss to Alligator to sell the town of McBee water.
What is the contract worth between Odom and Associates and Alligator?
I really don't know. I talked with the CPA today and asked her to give me what the net, after everything's taken out, what Odom makes.
And you don't know?
No.
Alligator Water is a private water company where Glen Odom works as a consultant through his own company, Odom and Associates. Odom runs Alligator's daily operations, earning $120,000 a year from Odom and Associates. James Linton also earns a paycheck from Odom and Associates and also voted with Odom. But Alligator's tax filings show Alligator Water pays Odom and Associates far more than those 2 salaries to run the water company. A decade ago, Alligator's 2015 tax filing shows it paid Odom's company more than $1.1 million under a management contract. In Alligator's 2022 filing, the latest one we could find, the utility reported paying Odom's company a little more than $1 million under the contract. But Odom and Linton told ethics investigators the new town water contract did not increase either of their salaries when they voted to hand the town's water system over to Alligator Water.
Because it was an emergency situation that had to do with the health of the people and the health of the kids at 2 schools. So I made the decision that I would vote to do the right thing.
The State Health Department inspection from 2022, filed 5 months before Odom voted to shut down the town's water department, shows an overall rating of needs improvement. The 2021 and 2022 annual water quality reports show McBee's system had no health-based violations for either of the final 2 years the town operated its own water system. It took the Ethics Commission 2 years to investigate these violations and to settle the cases against Mayor Glen Odom and Councilman James Linton. The commission told me in a call this morning it has not received the fine payments from either man yet. They have 6 months to pay their $2,300 fines, and if they do not pay by October 16th, the fines jump back to the maximum penalty of $4,300.
One more guy who looks like he could have been a good guy, who has been in this toxic, infectious environment that has filled his mind with things that should have never even crossed his mind. It is not a coincidence that our officers are disrespectful, are disorderly. They have learned this behavior by being groomed by a larger group that has had control of our public services for too long. And we really need help. We need help finding a true resolution. This is not good for anyone, including the officers and their families, including the people who are causing the crimes. Guess what? That's not good for your kids. It's not helping anybody. So please, let's figure this out. let's get some better options. Let's raise our standards. Please, everybody, keep praying for South Carolina. We are a community of strong believers. We have a mustard seed, and we are not afraid to use it.